Katerina Vitozzi. Thanks for being with us, Katerina. Now, all eyes are on President Barack Obama ahead of the Democratic Convention, which of course starts today. Some private details of the president are being made public, I believe.
Absolutely. This is on the front page of the International Herald Tribune, but they're for once, Louise, private details that I think the president wants to be made public.
Makes a change.
Indeed. Their article on the front page saying that President Barack Obama is a perfectionist. He is, I quote, a really good chili. He makes a really mean chili, apparently. These are little details that have been sort of coming out in the press, as you say, ahead of that Democratic convention this week, aimed probably at trying to make the president seem a little bit more of a well-rounded character, particularly in contrast to his opponent Mitt Romney, who has been sort of attacked somewhat in the press for seeming a little bit wooden, something that you couldn't say of President Barack Obama, who apparently has impressive musical pitch and is also a very good pool player.
Really?
I know. I think I'd have him at a party, that's for sure, especially if he makes a mean chili. However, inside the International Herald Tribune, the jokes have stopped because there's some serious editorial pieces ahead of the convention.
Okay.
One piece by Jeff Jacoby saying, he just wants these political carnivals, he calls them, to end. He says conventions like this have no real use in modern day politics. It used to be that they were for voting the candidate for the party, but he says now that's decided so far in advance. These conventions are just hype and hoopla. They're a waste of $136 million and they're a bit of a political dinosaur, he says.
However, that's a tough approach.
That is a tough approach. However, I would say if we didn't have these conventions, we wouldn't have little gems like this that we see in The Independent today.
Tell us.
Well, the British paper picks up on a little story from the Republican convention last week where Mitt Romney's running partner, so running on Romney's ticket, Paul Ryan, he said that he has run a marathon in under 3 hours. Now, that is incredibly quick. However, subsequently, he says he might have misremembered the time that he actually ran it in, and in fact, it could have been more like 4 hours.
So he just missed an hour there.
He just missed an hour. So a little bit of backtracking from Paul Ryan, the headline in the paper is great. They say this is not Ryan's personal best moment.
Boom, boom. That's it. Every aspect of your life will come under scrutiny if you become the vice presidential candidate, I suppose.
Exactly.
Now, what about the South African papers, Katerina? I'm sure that the dispute involving the miners is all over them, really.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, the South African Mail and Guardian have a really interesting look into the inquiry of these 34 miners who were shot dead by police by that platinum mine outside of Johannesburg last month. They call this Commission Impossible. They say, looking at the history of inquiries like this in South Africa, they always never really provide the answers that you're looking for. In fact, either the wrong questions are asked or that the answers that are given are sort of manipulated in a way which doesn't really provide any real information or anywhere from a state from which to progress it. They say, although this inquiry has the backing of the president, if you're looking for real answers, you're better off looking elsewhere.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a fair point, I suppose. Now, what about US Secretary of State Hillary Clinton? She's heading off to China.
Yes, she is heading off to China, but the papers there are focusing a little bit more on their own leadership, in fact. The 10-yearly cabinet reshuffle of the leading Chinese Communist Party there. That's coming in a couple of months. The paper says the leadership is pretty much in place. However, what is interesting, inside the paper, the South Morning China Post have a look at a piece written in the Study Times on mainland China, a Chinese Communist Party, which actually attacks the leadership, says it's really done nothing much over the last couple of years and that the political reforms just haven't happened. So a really interesting and quite rare attack from a mainland Chinese paper.
It certainly is rare. Staying in China, it's back to school for students, and this is a costly experience for them.
Absolutely. No longer the days of going back to school with a couple of pencils and a packet of salt and vinegar crisps, I can tell you.
Did you go back to school like that? That's a very chic way of going back to school.
Was it? Well, you were more smoky bacon type of girl. No, in fact, apparently, according to the China Daily, 70% of first-year college students in China have spent at least 2,500 euros on electronic equipment heading into this new school year. So that's laptops, digital cameras and iPhones. One parent saying this isn't a necessity, it's a luxury.
Certainly more complicated than in our day, Katerina. Thank you very much, Katerina Vitozzi, there with the International Press Review. Stay tuned. Time for a break, but coming up will be Will Edwards, our business editor, with all the latest business news for you.